Mr. Askelson here. It is Thursday, May 14th, 2020, and we are looking at Chapter 10, Lesson 2 today, and it says do guided practice numbers 1 through 3 on page 600 in your math packet. Tell a family member your answer to the talk math question. This week we started working with clocks and telling time. And remember, there's two basic kinds of clocks. There's an analog clock that has a circular face with numbers that go around starting at 12 and then back up again to 12. And they have two hands on it, a long hand, which is the minute hand, and a short hand, which is the hour hand. There's also a digital clock, and a digital clock just puts numbers on a screen, probably maybe the easier one to read. But just remember, there's a couple dots in the middle that separates hours and minutes, hours on the left side, minutes on the right side. So with these clocks, we can tell time to the hour, which we've worked on. On an analog clock, when the minute hand is pointing straight up to the 12, we can say that that clock is on the hour, and then we can just use the hour hand to tell that it is 5 o'clock. Same way on the digital clock. We can just look at the time that's on there. You can see 5 hours, 0 minutes. So both of these are showing 5 o'clock. So, but you can also, we don't always tell time to just the hour. We say sometimes it's quarter after, or it's 5:30, or quarter to 7. We've got all these different numbers that we use when we're telling time on a clock. So we need to know when that minute hand or when the minutes on a digital clock isn't always at 0 or pointing straight up, that we can tell what time it is on the clock. So when we look at the analog clock, if we were to start here at the top and we were to count every single one of those little marks all the way around the clock, if we started up here and went all the way around counting all of those little marks, there would be 60. There's 60 minutes in 1 hour. So if the clock hand, the minute hand, is up here, then we read just the hour. But when the clock hand, the minute hand, faces down to the bottom, if we were to count all these little marks from the 12 down to the 6, there would be 30 marks. So we call that as 30 minutes. So when the minute hand is pointing straight at the 6, we look at the hour hand and we can see that hour hand is past the 3, but not yet to the 4. So we still say the hour as 3, but the minute hand is at 3:30. And sometimes if you look at it, it divides this clock, this half and this half. It divides it right perfectly down the middle. So sometimes we'll say it is 3:30 or 3:30. On the digital clock, once again, it's pretty easy to read hours and minutes. So it reads the same time, 3 hours, 30 minutes. But just understanding that we can tell the minutes as well as the hours when we're reading clocks. And we've used this before. I'll go back to it. This clock right here is kind of handy. The website to use this clock is right up here. This is an analog clock. The minute hand is the longer one. The hour hand is a shorter one. And right now, here's my digital clock up here, and that's reading 8 o'clock. I can put this on real time, and real time just means it tells the time that it is right now. And you can see my hands are kind of all over the place here. This one, the blue one, is the second hand, which we haven't talked too much about. But the minute hand is right over here, and the hour hand almost to 10, but not quite. On the digital clock, it's really easy to see that it's 9:51. So I'm going to take that off of there again. And I'm just going to put it at an hour. And since my minute hand is pointing straight to the top, I look at the time and it's 10 o'clock. But if I move that minute hand around down to here, now it's halfway around. So I can say it's either 10:30 or 10:30. I could move it over here, my hour hand, I can put that right there. Now I can see that my hour hand is a little past 2, but not to 3, and my minute hand points down here to 6. My time is 2:30. So this is a real handy clock to help not only with the analog clock, but also with the digital clock. So let's take a look at a couple other examples. All right, here are some clocks. Tell what time it is, write the time. You can see this is the analog clock. My hour hand is in between the 9 and the 10. My minute hand points straight down to the 6. It's not at the top anymore. So we can say, and I'll try and write this in. It's a little bit harder to do this on the computer than it is on the smart board. But I can see that I'm still at 9 and I'm at 30. Or we can say 9:30. On this clock, my minute hand points down to the 6. My hour hand is past the 5, but not to the 6. So we say it is 5:30 or 5:30. All right, last one here. My hour hand is past the 10, but not to the 11. So I know that my hours is still going to be 10. My minute hand is not at the top, it's at the bottom. So that's 30. And we can say that it's also 10:30. All right, let's check our answers to make sure we have that correct. Sorry about the 9 here. It's not a very good 9, but all right, there we go. 9:30, 9:30, 5:30, 5:30, 10:30, 10:30. So as you're working on your guided practice today, use the clock if you need to that is on this website right here. And just remember, we're telling time to either the hour or the half hour. And it tells by the hands on the clock or the numbers on the screen. Hope that was helpful, second grade. Have a great day.